Welcome to the Eat This Book podcast. I'm Michael Whitworth. Each day we take a small piece of scripture and we sit with it. Not a quick snack that disappears before lunch, not a chore you check off of a list, but rather a meal meant to be savored. So pull up a chair. Let's eat. 3 words. After all the death, all the destruction, all the waters prevailing, 3 words change everything. But God remembered. Genesis chapter 8, verse 1. The chapter break is unfortunate here. Genesis 7 ends with devastation, and the waters prevailed on the earth 150 days. All flesh died, everything was blotted out, only Noah was left. The world is unmade, drowned, and silent. And then Genesis 8 opens. But God remembered Noah. But. That's the hinge. That's the turn. The whole story pivots on that single word. Everything before it is judgment. Everything after it is restoration. And in between, 3 words. But God remembered. What does it mean that God remembered? It doesn't mean God forgot. God isn't like us, distracted, overwhelmed, losing track of things. He didn't slap his forehead and say, "All right, Noah, I knew I was forgetting something." In the Bible, when God remembers, it means he acts. It means he moves from patience to intervention, from waiting to working. Divine remembrance isn't mental recall, it's relational engagement. God turning his attention towards someone and doing something about their situation. When God remembered Hannah, she conceived Samuel. When God remembered Rachel, she bore Joseph. When God remembered his covenant with Abraham, he delivered Israel from Egypt. And when God remembered Noah, the waters began to recede. For 150 days, Noah floated. No land, no horizon, no sign that things would ever change. Just water in every direction. The ark rocking, the animals stirring, in the silence of a drowned world. Did Noah wonder if God had forgotten him? Did he count the days, lose count, start over? Did he wake up each morning and look out at the same endless sea and wonder if this was just how it would be forever? We don't know what Noah felt, but we know what was true. God remembered. And even when Noah couldn't see it, even when nothing changed, even when the waters still prevailed, God had not forgotten. The remembrance was already in motion before Noah saw any evidence of it. That's how it often works. You're in the flood. The waters are prevailing. Day after day, nothing changes. You pray, you wait, you trust, and the sea is still there. You wonder if God has forgotten you. You wonder if your prayers are bouncing off the ceiling of a closed ark. But God remembers, even when you can't see it, even when the evidence suggests otherwise. The wind is already blowing before you feel it. The waters are already receding before the mountains appear. God's remembrance doesn't wait for your awareness. It's already happening. Look at what God does when he remembers. Verse 1, "And God made a wind blow over the earth, and the waters subsided." Wind. The Hebrew word is ruach, the same word used for spirit in Genesis 1, verse 2, when the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters. Do you see it? The same Spirit that hovered over the chaos at creation is now blowing over the chaos of the flood. God is doing it again. He's making something new out of the watery void. The wind that brings the waters down is the same breath that brought the world into being. This isn't just cleanup. This is recreation. Verse 2, "The fountains of the deep and the windows of the heavens were closed. The rain from the heavens was restrained." Everything that was opened is now closed. Everything that was unleashed is now restrained. The same God who broke the boundaries now reestablishes them. God unmade the world in judgment. Now he's remaking it in mercy. The flood was uncreation. The receding waters are new creation. The same hands that opened the fountains now close them. And then, quietly, beautifully, the ark comes to rest. Verse 4, and in the 7th month, on the 17th day of the month, the ark came to rest on the mountains of Ararat. Rest. After all that floating, after all that waiting, after 150 days of nothing solid beneath them, rest. The ark settles on the mountains of Ararat. Not a gentle beach, not a gradual slope, mountains. The highest points, the first things to emerge as the waters recede. Noah doesn't land in a valley, he lands on a peak. There's something poetic about that. After the lowest point comes the highest ground. After the flood comes the mountain. After judgment comes elevation. But notice the journey isn't over. Verse 5, and the waters continued to abate until the 10th month. In the 10th month, on the first day of the month, the tops of the mountains were seen. The ark rests in the 7th month. The mountaintops aren't visible until the 10th month. That's nearly 3 more months of waiting, even after they've stopped floating. They're grounded, but they're not free. They're resting, but they can't leave. The waters are going down, but slowly. So slowly. This is the part of deliverance we don't like to talk about. We want salvation to be instant. We want the flood to end and the sun to come out and the doors to open and new life to begin all at once. But that's not how it usually works. Noah waited 150 days for the waters to abate. Then the ark rested, but he still couldn't leave. Then the mountaintops appeared, but there was still water everywhere. The deliverance was real, but it was gradual, step by step, month by month. Sometimes God remembers you, and you still have to wait. I think there's grace in that gradual. If Noah had stepped off the ark immediately, into a world still muddy and unstable, still reeking of death, still unprepared for new life, it would have been too much. The slow receding of the waters gave time for the earth to heal, for the ground to dry, for the world to become habitable again. God's timing isn't just about you. It's about preparing what you're walking into. The waiting isn't wasted. It's preparation. Here's what strikes me most about this passage. God remembered Noah, but God also remembered all the beasts and all the livestock that were with him in the ark. It's not just Noah, it's the animals too. The creatures who had nothing to do with human sin, who were brought into the ark simply because God wanted to preserve them, God remembered them. This tells us something about God's care. It extends beyond the obvious, beyond the central characters, beyond the heroes of the story. God remembers the beasts. God cares about the livestock. God's mercy is wider than we think. If God remembered the animals, he remembers you. Whatever corner of the ark you're hiding in, whatever small and forgotten part of the story you think you are, God remembers. So here's what Genesis chapter 8, verses 1 through 5 would have us savor today. If you're still in the flood, if the waters are still prevailing, if nothing has changed, if you've lost count of the days, this passage says God has not forgotten you. Divine remembrance doesn't require your awareness. The wind may already be blowing. If you're resting but not yet free, if the ark has landed but you can't leave yet, if the worst is over but the waiting continues, this passage says, stay patient. The mountaintops will appear. The waters will abate. The door will open, but not yet. Not today. Deliverance is a process, not just a moment. And if you've wondered whether you matter to God, whether you're too small, too marginal, too far from the center of the story, this passage says God remembered the livestock. He remembered the beasts. He remembers you. The waters prevailed for 150 days, and then 3 words, but God remembered. The wind blew, the fountains closed, the waters receded, and the ark came to rest on a mountain. Not because Noah earned it, not because the world deserved it, but because God remembered. And God remembers still. Next time on Eat This Book, we're watching a dove circle a flooded world and returned with something small in her beak, an olive leaf. It isn't dry ground. It isn't permission to leave the ark. It's just a leaf, fresh, green, alive. But for Noah, it's enough to know the flood is ending and hope is real. In Genesis chapter 8, we'll talk about why God's signs so often come small, why waiting doesn't end when hope appears, and how to recognize the difference between a promise beginning and a promise fulfilled. If you've been waiting a long time, if you're desperate for any sign at all, or if you've received one small hint that things might be changing, this episode will be for you. Join me next time as we feast on the olive leaf. Thank you for eating with me. Until next time, may the Word dwell in you richly.